All right, we're gonna go on a little farm walk today. So I thought we'd start at our chicken brooder, our greenhouse that we've converted into a chicken brooder. So just a couple of weeks ago, this was just a no plastic, empty greenhouse. And what we've done is convert it into a chicken brooder for approximately 1,000 hens. You can see we have chicken wire going down the bottom 36 inches. We also have vent windows. We still have the plastic on these. We haven't cut it yet just because there's no reason to cut it until we're absolutely need airflow. So we'll go through our door here. Now here in the chicken brooder, we have water, we have power, and we have gas. Our heat will be gas in here. And so to start, we will have 4 250 chick brooders inside of here. They'll just be an 8x8. We'll basically just take one sheet of plywood, cut that into 4 12-inch pieces, and make a 12-inch tall 8x8 square, and that'll hold 250 chicks each. And we'll have gas heaters that hang down over them. Once they can start jumping out of that brooder, which will probably take about 12 to 15 days, then we'll go ahead and pull those. And this will be about 8 inches thick of shavings. We'll have automatic waters and hanging feeders. And then out here, we call this our transition area. And so this is a yard that they can be turned out in. We have the chicken wire going along this hoop house, and we also have a bird netting that just came in the mail that'll go over it. And if you look real closely, you can see it there. We planted a cover crop. So we planted ryegrass and clover here. So here's the clover, here's the ryegrass. And so in 90 days, when they're ready to start coming out here, this will be nice and thick and lush. And again, we're using it as a transition period. So after 60 to 90 days, we'll start letting them out in here in the day and then putting them up at night. And it'll get them used to grazing, get them used to eating bugs, eating grass, which is what we want, because our layers will be raised on pasture. And so we don't want to just throw them out there after being in this warm, cozy brooder for all that time. So we're pretty excited for it. So we're going to walk over to the greenhouse now. See what Miss Pam's got going on. If you've watched my videos before, you're familiar with Pam. She does all of our greenhouse seating. Here we go. There's Pam. We're live, Pam.
Hello.
What are we seeding today?
We're gonna start with some herbs today.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna, if we have time, we're gonna go to the jalapenos.
Okay, and this is round 4?
Round 4.
Round 4. And so she's seeded basically the same thing 4 times. And you can see over here, she's also started to up pot round 1. And so a lot of those peppers and tomatoes, they've now been up potted. They did this last week, and you can already see these tomatoes growing. And so these tomatoes were this size when they were up potted. Now you can see after being up potted, they've already started to grow quite a bit. That up potting makes the world of difference. Really does the plants good. You can see a lot of the flowers got up potted as well. Those will be ready for resale. This was round 3, starting to germinate. You can see these peppers are coming up. Looking very good. let's go see what else is going on today. So a little bit, as we walk, a little bit of history. This ground was bought in 1936 by my great-grandfather. During World War II, with the intense labor shortage, he decided he was going to do something kind of crazy and allow the public to come out and pick. And it was a hit. Everybody came out and picked their own strawberries, and it was a way for him to get the berries out of the field. But little did he know, it was also going to be a way for the community to really get bought into the farm. It worked out great. And so, since then, the farm has, of course, evolved into different things over the years. My grandfather was quite the farmer, and he grew a multitude of things. He was completely diversified. And at any given time, you could come to the farm and find 12 to 15 different things being grown. And that was year round. After my grandfather passed away, my uncle took over the farm and really just expanded in the best way possible. And so really hyper-focused in on the agritourism. And so now you can bring your family out during our hot times, right? So during strawberry season, during blackberry season, during the corn maze season, during our Christmas tree season, soon to be during our grape season and citrus picking season, and have a blast. You can play at Berry Funland, as we call it. This was where my grandfather's farm stand was. Of course, all the fun games, photo ops. Here's our electric netting. We were getting it out, testing it. We just want to make sure that when those new birds go out on pasture, that we're completely ready. There's no surprises. There's no equipment malfunctioning or anything like that. Roar. The old fire truck everybody likes. This tree has an interesting story. The story goes that my great-grandfather was plowing with a mule and a steel plow, and it started to grow in the field one year, so he plowed it over. Well, it came back the next year, so he plowed it over again, and it came back the next year. So after the third year, he said, you know what? We're just going to leave it. And my grandfather would farm around it. There's a great picture of me and my brother on the four-wheeler with my grandfather, and there was okra planted all around this, and right in the center is there's that tree. So it's the tree on our logo as well. So there's that tree on the logo. So it's become iconic. Now you can see it's used we call it the yard. It's used as our pumpkin patch, as our Easter egg hunting area, and then as well as, like, this is our little stage, so it provides shade. It's really a great spot. Of course, no U.S. family farm is complete without a flag and a windmill, so here we are. So we're going to go check out the plastic layer running. So this morning we are laying plastic for potatoes. Now, if you've ever raised potatoes before on any type of scale, you're probably thinking, why would we raise potatoes on plastic? But it actually works great. You only have to use an herbicide in the furrow, and even then, sometimes it's just easier to send somebody out with a hoe and hoe the rows, and you don't have to spray at all. So it makes it really nice. And then we'll let the public pick those. So when it's time to pick, we just go through and rip that plastic out And it kind of exposes those potatoes a little bit too. So everybody can go through and pick. And so what they're doing now is laying the irrigation, and then they'll follow with the plastic. The strawberries are looking good. We picked yesterday, and we might pick again tomorrow or the next day. So you can see lots of ripe fruit here. A lot of ripe fruit. And so we'll probably come back through tomorrow or the next day and do some more picking. Strawberries look good. If you've been on my lives before, you know this is where some of the agribon or rime blew off during one of the freezes we had this year. It was a weird year having multiple light freezes, and well, that blew off, and it was about 20 degrees for a couple of days, and we lost a bunch of those berries. But the ones that were covered, you can see beautiful. It was really a good testimony to covering. You have guys that say, oh, I'm not going to do that. It's just not worth it, but it is worth it. When in doubt, cover, especially on the berries. I mean, look at all these blooms on these. All the green fruit is exactly what we want to see. Here's a question for you. When birds fly in a V shape like that, there's always more birds on one side than the other. Anybody know why that is? Just because there's more birds, that's all. Let's go check out some of this plastic being laid. So we squared off the tops of these beds this morning. So now they're going back through with the same machine and laying the irrigation line. The irrigation runs a little bit smoother once you've squared off that bed. So you can see they'll take the line, kind of hold it on the end there, and start running it. Stop it with his foot, and there we go. You can see the spindle spinning. Looking good. And after it goes so many feet, you don't really got to stand there and hold it. He just buried it. And so they'll go back through with the plastic layer over that same row. Get the plastic laid. So that plastic layer is made to have somebody sit on the back, and they can adjust the pressure as needed and cut the plastic line. And it works pretty good. So this plastic is key for retaining heat in the bed. Again, for reducing herbicide use, which in turn stops weed competition. Works fantastically. We want a nice tight bed there. And so that plastic layer will keep following that irrigation layer. And this will be the final result. We might come through and you see how they've cleaned up the end here and buried it. And they might come through and kind of stomp this down just to make sure that plastic don't blow up. But it looks good. Nice straight rows. Plastic's nice and tight. It's exactly what we want to see. come back over that one with plastic. You can see that irrigation spindle going. He's watching it. It's perfect. Well, appreciate everybody watching today. This live will be posted, so you can always rewatch the video. If you do have any questions, drop them in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button.